Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Do you have a vehicle you no longer need? Are you a little cash-strapped? Rudy Luther Toyota will pay you for your used vehicle. It's really simple. Head to rudyluthertoyota.com, answer a few simple questions, and Rudy Luther Toyota will get you an instant offer. Then they will set up an appointment, and after a quick verification, they will handle all the paperwork and coordinate getting you your check. It's that simple. It's a fast way for you to get rid of the vehicle you no longer need, putting money in your hands. For more information, head to rudyluthertoyota.com. That's rudyluthertoyota.com.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first ticket for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. See you at the movies. walkerart.org/cinema to learn more.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 19, then Friday, sunshine with a high of 40. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Jacob. This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we got a jam-packed show as usual, and a good big shout out to Haley for doing her producer work, and I really appreciate her. And we're celebrating now 2 days after her birthday, so we're really happy that you're here with us, Haley. A happy 2 days after your birthday.
Thank you, Dega. I hear a little bit of echoing on my end. Hopefully you're not hearing that on yours.
I'm not, but I don't know. Things happen at the mother station and people playing with buttons and things. So I don't know what's going on, but you sound good to me. And geez, I always sound good in my headphones, but that's just me. Oh, wow. Hey, as you all know, I was a former high school teacher, 27 years in St. Paul Public Schools, and it's ironic too. We have a couple guests on today. One is later on is Barry Hand, and we worked together at Harding High School together, and he was a Lakota Dakota teacher, and He'll be on later, but today and right now we have Heather Fahey, who's a friend of my wife's, and it's really a small world out there. And Heather's a registered pharmacist at Healthcare, and executive director of Indian Affairs is Shannon Geshick, and she may be coming on soon too. Uh, we're going to talk about a very important thing coming up here, and Heather, I just want to give a big shout out and welcome you back to Native Roots Radio.
Yeah. Now, Robert, and thank you for having me back on the show. I'm excited to talk about the powwow and stuff we have going on.
Right on. And I just got to ask you this too, to let her know, our audience know, what nation are you from, and do you have a name?
I do not have a name, but I am from Mohawk. I'm Mohawk, and I'm from Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory, which is in southern Ontario.
Oh, wow. So we'll be worrying about tariffs with your people up there, and life goes on, and we won't talk about that. We want to talk about a celebration of somebody's life that I've worked with and that and it's a great thing. I remember at his funeral, it was a huge funeral for him and John Boblink, and there was a lot of good words said, and also this powwow came about John Boblink's because of John Boblink's death, but also because of the great things he's done for many, many years for the St. Paul School District.
Yeah, he was a really close partner of ours at Health Fairview. And one of my colleagues, Monique Nelson, had the idea for Health Fairview to co-host a powwow as really a way to build trust and connection with community. And I mean, it seems a little odd, right, to have a health system or hospital system hosting a powwow. But when Monique presented the idea to John, he was 100% all for it. Absolutely no judgment, no like side eye. He just was like, yeah, that's a great idea. We should do that. And so he's a huge, huge reason why we are now actually on our second annual powwow.
That's awesome, and the powwow is going to be on Sunday, March 9th, and it's honoring John Boblink Powwow, Healing in Four Directions, and it'll be at Johnson High School, which is 1349 Arcade Street in St. Paul. And I always have to say the story that we talk about John and I. He was the head of Indian Ed, and I was on a parent committee, and we all were there for the same reason. And John was a level-headed voice of reason, and totally gonna miss him. We are missing him, and he was always there for the students. And I know in my experiences, if something happened, he would be there on the spot immediately, advocating for our students.
Yeah, I mean, I really just got the opportunity to work with him through my work with Health Fairview, and really very briefly with my own kids. I have little kids that are in the Indian Ed program, but I think what you said is exactly correct. Like his work was always about the kids, the youth, and I think I think that one of the reasons why he really did support this powwow going forward is because it is a good way, like I said before, to hopefully build some bridges. But if we're connecting our health care and our healthcare community to our Native community, that is one way that the youth might be able to see themselves in the future as well. Particularly, in my own personal opinion, if you have Native physicians, Native pharmacists, Native nurses, who are there because they work for the health system, and because they're part of the community. So I think it's a great way, to kind of introduce healthcare careers to the community, and then to build that trust with community members. So I hope that we are doing good things in John's memory, and kind of standing up for what he stood up for his whole career.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we are, and to honor him, and it's an emotional thing because it's somebody that I worked with for many, many years, and I know the community really advocated to have John in his position and brought him in, and there's always ups and downs when it comes to organizations like this, but John was a steady rock for many years prior to being executive director, and then the years after he was executive director. I know what we should probably talk a little bit about too later on is some of the sponsors, MN Health, and maybe we can talk a little bit about a few of the sponsors that are really supporting this effort, and get people out there and really powwow and do some intertribal in a good way. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've had some incredible partners. So again, St. Paul Public School, Indian Ed. I think without them, without John's original support, we would probably not be doing this. Minnesota Indian Affairs Council has been a big partner for us. American Indian Family Center, American Indian Education from South St. Paul. Also this year we have Montessori American Indian Child Care Center. So all of these organizations, also Department of Indian Work, all of these organizations coming together to make this happen has been really awesome.
Yeah, it has. And we're going to take a quick short break here. And this is Native Roots Radio, and we're with Heather Fahey, and we're talking about the John Boblink Memorial Powwow. And we're all excited to go there, honoring John Boblink Powwow, Healing in 4 Directions. This is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Activism in the 21st century takes many forms. For Minnesota Chippewa artist Rory Wakemup, it's Funktivism. He uses humor, satire, and regalia to challenge social and environmental injustice. Smart Wars is Wakemup's latest solo exhibition. It's a bold mix of Indigenous heritage with modern commentary. Through his multimedia art, Wakemup challenges perceptions and sparks conversations about Native resilience, climate action, and truth-telling. See Smart Wars at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis, February 27th through April 5th. Details at allmyrelationsarts.org. The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950. Support for Native Roots Radio comes from the Walker Art Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including Indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds, Cheyenne and Arapaho Nation, and Jim Demini, Ojibwe. Additionally, films screen in the cinema, and performances are shown on stage. Free every Thursday night and free every day for members and citizens of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org. Again, that's walkerart.org.
Minnesotans are hardy. We don't let snow or ice get in our way. We have places to go, so making sure your vehicle is in prime shape for winter driving is so important. Take your vehicle to Rudy Luther Toyota for all your service needs. I was just there. I got my oil and filters replaced, and they did a complete safety check to make sure my vehicle can tackle winter. And they service all makes and models of vehicles. Head to rudyluthertoyota.com and use their super easy Toyota service schedule to set up your service appointment today. Rudy Luther Toyota on the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, in Minneapolis. And we're back now on Native Roots Radio with our guest, Heather Maracle Fahey, who is a registered pharmacist with mHealth Fairview. And we're here talking about the John Bobolink Powwow coming up this Sunday, I believe, at Johnson Senior High School. And we're excited about it. It's going to have a bunch of vendors to come support Native artists and watch the dancers as well.
Hey, yeah, welcome back. How do I sound, Haley?
Pretty good.
Do I sound taller?
I don't know about that.
I was sitting up a little bit here and hoping that I sound a little better. Hey, again, thanks for the intro here. I had to switch out a couple things here, and I'm back. So the grand entry starts at 1 p.m., feast at 6 p.m., and, I like my food. And then, again, it's located at Johnson High School in St. Paul, 1349 Arcade Avenue. And a lot of great sponsors and people supporting this powwow, Heather, and I'm excited. One of the things too that it's been fun over the years to run into you and your people tabling at a lot of powwows, and it always seems like you must be giving away money or something, because you always have a big line of people in front of your booth.
I wish I had money to give away. Yeah, no, it kind of depends on the event and the day, but we do blood pressure checks. As you mentioned, I'm a pharmacist, so we have kind of ask the pharmacist questions if people have questions about medications that they're taking or just questions in general. And then we oftentimes will partner with our we have a mobile nursing unit who comes and offers vaccines on site. So it kind of depends on the season and what vaccines are available or what is needed in community at that time. But yeah, I mean, we try to just have information that's relevant, helpful, health related. We do always try to have good giveaways. A little counterintuitively, we always have candy, but it draws people in, it draws the kids in for sure. But otherwise, we do try to give away stuff that's health related. We've done like a vegetable peeler in the past, like a handheld vegetable peeler and first aid kits, chapstick, Band-Aids, all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, and it's always busy. People too are and it's kind of a thing maybe we talked a little bit about before the show, is that, a lot of Native people find it difficult to reach out to the medical field, and it's a thing that's a little frightening too. I remember when my wife was working in infectious disease and clinic, and she would see somebody that was Native American, and she would say, ask what nation they're from, and then you could see they'd get less defensive, and then she would say, my husband's Ho-Chunk, and it would knock down walls. And I'm sure you run into that too when you're able to talk about your background of who you are, and there'll be more of a trust value in that. You look like people that you're serving, and knock down the trust, or have the trust of Native people, because you understand and are part of the community.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it makes a difference. I think that the health system in general, like this was not a system that traditionally was built for us. And it can feel really inaccessible. There's a lot of steps that people have to go to take to just even to schedule an appointment. So even just getting in the door, like the steps that's required to do that, it's not like you can just walk up to the table and ask your question. So yeah, I mean, I think that, like you said, it kind of it breaks down a barrier when you can have somebody in that position that you already have at least some level of comfort or shared experience with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, that's something that like I'm really trying to work on. A couple years ago, even I have little kids, and bringing my kids to the doctor, like you go in and you fill out the papers and they ask you the questions about your ethnicity and where you live and your phone number, and at the time they didn't even have a box for Native American. Like they had
Mm-hmm.
all these other countries, and there was not even a box for the original people of this land. And I complained about it, and we've changed it
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, how is this possible that I can show up to my own doctor's appointment and not have a box where I can check off who I am?
Yeah.
So yeah, like just those little things, like we're trying to address those types of things so that people can if they want to, right, fill out who they are and where they're from. And we have more than just 3 boxes for spirituality and religious beliefs and things like that. And it's helpful to know those things going in, and then it's, I think, equally as helpful from a patient perspective to walk in the door and see someone that that there's just that shared level of comfort with.
Well, I'm excited that you are in the field. A Native American, and we need more Native Americans in science and uh, and to really take care of our families. And so it's really cool to see that you're there. When you were first in school, were there any other Native pharmacists or going through that track?
Not that I know of. I do remember when I started, we got, information about the demographics of our incoming class, and it said that there were 3 Native students in my incoming class. So I do remember like getting in there and being like, okay, where are these Native kids at? And that, like, to this day, I don't know if there really were 2 other ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was. I was fortunate enough to be connected. One of my mentors was Joni Buffalo Head,
Oh, wow.
who she was not in the pharmacy, like the PharmD program, but she was in the social administrative PhD program. And so I was lucky enough to be connected with her um, during pharmacy school, and that's been a connection that has helped me throughout my career that I still have today. So I do feel like that connection, even if just with one other Native person, is hugely important. And
Right.
there's work being done now too, to help support our Native students in med school and pharmacy school, because there's not a ton of us, but it is nice when we know that each other are there.
Absolutely. And I know during COVID, we had a special show that we called Native Format, or that was on Sundays, and it was just on Facebook and YouTube. And we had a big audience, but we had the Native American doctor for Navajo Nation, and she was the only Native. And it was so funny too because Ruth Anna Buffalo got her for us, and they went to school. They played basketball together, but just to have that weight on your shoulder and being the only one is sometimes really daunting. And I know it was for her because of what was going on at the time, and we didn't there was no vaccine. People were taking their clothes off at the door. They didn't know how it was spread. It was crazy times, but it's got to be daunting for you sometimes too to be the only one.
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, and I will also say that I've gotten a lot of support. I think kind of especially as I've started to figure out how do I want to give back to the community and how can I do that from my position in the health system. And the system itself has given me a lot of support to do that, which honestly, like, right now in these political times is really, it matters. And I'm really grateful that they're not letting up on any type of diversity or equity or inclusion
Mhm.
type of efforts, because they're, yeah, we need to bring a voice to a lot of our issues, and the system has been really supportive of doing that. So
Mhm. Well, we're here, with Heather Fahey, registered pharmacist with M Health Fairview, and we're talking about this upcoming Sunday, March 9th, honoring John Boblink Powwow, Healing in Four Directions. I just want to say a big peeny gigi thank you so much for coming on. And it's hard to talk about a friend of ours, but it's good that we're celebrating him because he did so many good things, like being able to wear eagle feathers, be able to smudge in St. Paul in the classrooms. And I know personally that he was a great advocate for our students, and he'll be always remembered in a good way. So Heather, thank you for being a big part of that and letting our audience know about this important event.
yeah, absolutely. And I think too, like, he's just really serving as an example for even myself in other systems, right? He was that person in education, and now we can take his example into healthcare.
Right on. Hey Heather, we'll see you Sunday. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you. Now
Hey, Native Roots Radio will be right back after this short message. Stay with us, Haley. Stay with us. Have you considered a career in the museum field? The Minnesota Historical Society is now accepting applications for its Native American Museum Fellowship. The 10-week summer program is a mix of workshops, seminars, and hands-on internships at the Minnesota Historical Society. It is open to undergraduate students, recent graduates, and community scholars with an interest in museums and heritage studies. Learn more and apply now at mnhs.org/NAI.
Hey, it's Patrick. We're headed into March, which means spring cleaning is almost here. You're about to realize that, and so is just about everybody else, too. That's why you need to beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our friends at Zero Res right now. We just had Zero Res over at our house last week, and they did such a wonderful job. They were on time, professional, and we couldn't be happier with the results. Spring is a time for renewal. Let Zero Res help you refresh your home with clean carpets, fresh floors, and improved air quality. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner, starting at $129, and take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, that's 3 rooms starting at $129 and $75 off an air duct cleaning. Beat the rush. Call now, 952-0RES, or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. That's Zero Res. Backward or forward spells the same.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950 for Snap Construction again. Does your home feel colder than it should with the furnace constantly running? Or do certain rooms always feel colder than the rest of the house? Those are signs the attic in your home may need an insulation upgrade. Snap Construction can help by providing a free energy audit for your home's insulation. The average cost of getting new insulation can cost much less than a new furnace. Plus, Snap Construction is a BPI certified installer. That means if you use Snap for your next insulation project, you qualify for up to $650 in total rebates from your energy provider. After my free inspection, my insulation upgrade was completed within a few weeks and the rebate check was in the mail. Snap to it and reduce your heating bill this winter with Snap Construction. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP for your free energy audit when you mention AM 950. Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor and insulation company in the metro.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 19, then Friday, sunshine with a high of 40. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Yes, they do. Hey, we're here, Haley and I, talking over things, waiting for our guests to jump on. You know, sometimes, Haley, when you have a Native American radio show, people are on Indian time and maybe in a different zip code or timeline or something. But
I know.
it's nervous. You know, I haven't, my beard is totally gray where my hair is dark, and I don't dye my hair. But I think, you know, from
Oh.
worrying on the radio show and worried about my kids and worried about you, Haley, I got a gray beard.
You know, I was noticing a couple white strands in my hair too, and I'm only 27, so I don't know what that says about
Well, I'll tell you what
where
it
I'm
says.
at.
You've been on the radio for 2 years. That's what it says.
Apparently,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Heather did a great job as always. I was hoping to hear from
Mhm.
Shannon, but shout out. Hopefully, we can get Shannon on again too.
Yeah.
With the
Things come
Minnesota
up, you
Indian
know.
Affairs Council. I've heard great things
Yeah.
about them.
She's big time. She's kinda helps with and I don't know how she helps, or she runs. I don't want to say runs, but
I think she's
facilitates
executive director.
the other 11 tribes.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
gotta be like herding kittens sometimes. Oh, wow.
Probably, yeah.
Hey, you know,
Kittens is a nice way to describe it.
we talk about boycotts here. We talk about, you know, resisting and things like that. And I know there's another boycott towards our friends from Target. And it's faith leaders are calling on shoppers to divert their spending from Target to Black-owned businesses during Lent. And so that's a 40-day Target boycott again. And they got really hit hard when they changed their DEI
Mhm.
outlook. And it's really funny, too, because I was looking at who gave a lot of money to the Republicans, and Target wasn't one of them.
Hmm.
So it's very confusing, and I think, like our friend Arvina said, it's very confusing because they've supported, you know, like Pride here in the Twin Cities. They were big time supporters of that, and so it was very confusing that they dropped a DEI. And I really think too that we should call DEI diversity, equity, inclusion instead of the short DEI, because it's more powerful in its name. It's diversity, it's equity, and inclusion. What are wrong with those things?
Isn't there like a DEIA? They're supposed to be at the A too at the end, and then people always forget about that.
I don't know. Is that a TV
Yeah.
show?
I think it's like accessibility or something, but yeah, that they leave off that A because they're scrubbing all the websites with the information that include the words diversity, inclusion, and equity
Mm.
as well. So any website that has, you know, is talking about any of those things are also being taken down too. And like you mentioned, Arvina, too, it's not only confusing that Target went this route, but it's disappointing because I remember when Target would pick certain underserved community organizations and nonprofits, and you could like go on your Target app and vote for them. Community members could vote, and it would raise money towards those organizations. So this is really just kind of really backwards about how
Yeah.
they've, you know, portrayed themselves over the years.
Well, and there's a lot of other companies that have not gone that route. So there's people speaking about supporting these companies that are still, you know, training, in diversity and equity and inclusion. So
Mm-hmm.
there is that right there. It's crazy too. It's interesting too, and I'm going kind of bouncing back and forth right now, Haley. I don't know, it's my radio ADHD, but it's just I know you didn't watch the Orange One's speech, but it was just crazy, that the Trump administration they used a child who survived cancer, and that was after cutting funds for cancer research that really that saved his life. So we're in this really upside down world when it comes to lying, and it's just I've never seen anything like this, and I can't imagine a Gen Zer like yourself going, what in the heck is going on?
Yeah, thinking a little bit more than that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't even know where to get into it because
You don't have
my
to.
own mental health, I have not been able to watch a lot of that.
Well, I want to give a shout out to change gears a little bit. This was on the Indigenous Protectors Movement page, and last night I saw this on the news. They're at a gathering of strength and love and resilience at a prayer circle and vigil for Allison Lissar. And we've talked I've heard about her in the community, and it was under the bridge outside the apartment where her life was taken. And they stood there together in honor for Allison's life and demanded justice and discussed independent investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department. And what that means really quick is that after this death, really the police did not investigate anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And not that the police were involved in this murder, and they pretty much know who did it, and the police have just dropped the ball and moved on. And so now there's going to be independent investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department's investigation. So
Good.
that's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge, and that's another Native American that was murdered, and that was just swept aside, and
Mhm.
and not counted as human. When we fight and talk about things here on Native Roots Radio, and even way before that, it's just talking about humanity, and we're people, and we do matter, and we are human beings, and we bleed just like everybody else. And there's some facets of the communities that don't believe that and never have. And so it's good that they kept pushing forward on this, and that things are happening. And I saw it on mainstream news too, so it got coverage too, which
Mhm.
is good and surprising at the same time.
Yeah, if you wanna I texted you too, if you wanna look at your phone quick. Thanks for bringing up MMIR. That's the thing we talk about a lot here on Native Roots Radio. We like to bring awareness to our missing and murdered Indigenous relatives, and definitely, yeah, that we're not, we're very familiar with that, especially here in the Twin Cities. Also, you mentioned a lot of the mainstream media doesn't cover when Native girls go missing like they would a white girl with blue hair, with blue eyes and blonde hair, like the national, well, really worldwide coverage that Gabby Petito got. But this is a story that hasn't really been covered at all. The only reason I know about it is because we're so tuned into our Native communities around Turtle Island. But I want to bring up Emily Pike out of Arizona. And Emily Pike, it was a 14-year-old girl of the San Carlos Apache tribe who was brutally murdered this past week. Her body was found in garbage bags, dismembered. And from what I saw too, I don't think the family was properly notified in a respectful way before that hit local stations down in Arizona. So our heart is just really hurting. Emily Pike was she was a child, really. She was 14 years old. She deserved to see her 15th birthday. She deserved to continue to paint and create art, and she deserved to go to the school that she wanted to go to and grow up, and she deserved to chase her dreams, and she deserved to become a Native matriarch. And, this is just something we deal with so often. And I know we'll keep talking about that and how to help Emily's family. But yeah, if you have any information about that, you can reach out to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, also the San Carlos Apache Tribal Police Detective. But yeah, wanted to say Emily Pike's name and bring awareness to that.
Hey, we have our friend Barry Hand here, and let's add him to the show here. And Barry, welcome to Native Roots Radio. Come in, Barry. I think the snow really did some numbers on our technology here, and that's why I don't trust technology, Haley.
No.
Oh, there's Barry. Looks like he's driving down the freeway.
I want to apologize. I had a senior moment. I had my whole thing set up to chime in with you guys, but we started tapping trees, and I was sitting there, and I said, "Oh, I better go up to the buckets." So, and then I just got a call. I apologize.
So, where are you tapping these trees? And I want some syrup this time. Dang it!
Well, I tell you what, we have a wonderful coworker who lives out in Minnetonka, and they have a whole bunch of big sugar maples. And usually I do it on public land. Every once in a while, you'll find some surprises in your kettles. And so this way, at least with private property, you're able to kind of as your bucket, so to speak.
looks like you're under the Lindell Bridge there. We're having trouble with you with your connection right now, but we want to talk a little bit about the organization that you're with and what's going on and how the dugout's going.
Yeah, so we've been working on. So it's actually Okhódayapi Owámniyomni's program, and I'm attached to it. It's kind of a junior woodchuck, so to speak. Okhódayapi Owámniyomni, they're building a new building, first new building kind of for us, by us in St. Paul. We got a couple other things Anda Young put up on University Avenue, doing some real good work there in cooperation with PPL. But this one is kind of for the community, and part of that capital campaign, the 4 Dakota communities came together and supported that in various ways, sometimes financially, sometimes with just letters of support. And so their organization, headed up by Maggie Lorenz, is gifting each 4 community with a dugout canoe. So there was 3 that are being made, and the contractor came under the weather, and so there was a 4th one that needed to be made. So we had to get a hold of some folks to get this canoe built in about a 2-month time frame. So I don't know if you're familiar with the bark lodges down at Prairie Island, but we brought those back about 4 years ago, and we reached out to the group, Great Lakes Lifeways Institute, Kevin Finney and Keisha Beloach, say, hey, can you help us with a dugout? And they said, yeah, and the funny thing is they said, we'll do a dugout. We assumed they would make the dugout in the privacy of their own garage or whatever, and they said, nope, we'll do a dugout, but we want to make sure that the community's involved with making the dugout.
Right on.
And
hey, Barry.
So we've had,
We're going to take a break here. We got to pay the bills. This is Native Roots Radio, and we're with Barry Hand, and we'll be right back after this short break, Haley.
Stay with us. The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune into Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Your heart beats for generations. Take care of it.
There's a lot that we can do to take care of ourselves. And so I think it's important to take the smaller steps and break it down into more manageable pieces, because the little steps leads to big changes.
Every beat of your heart tells a story of love, resilience, and hope. For Indigenous women, taking care of your heart means creating more moments with the ones you cherish. Let's protect that story. Learn more at hennepin.us/heart-beats.
Have you considered a career in the museum field? The Minnesota Historical Society is now accepting applications for its Native American Museum Fellowship. The 10-week summer program is a mix of workshops, seminars, and hands-on internships at the Minnesota Historical Society. It is open to undergraduate students, recent graduates, and community scholars with an interest in museums and heritage studies. Learn more and apply now at mnhs.org/NAI.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, this is Governor Walls. Thank you for listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
In this portion of the show, we like to bring awareness to our Minnesota wolf populations. Say no to the hunts. Ho!
Oh! Hey, cool. We have our friend Barry Hand on, and Barry, before we get into talking more about Owámniyomni, I want to just mention the fact, okay, the show, Native Roots Radio has been on, this is our 9th year, and you were originally one of the original hosts, going to be one of the original hosts of this show.
I was?
Yeah.
Well, I remember we talked about doing a pirate radio to kind of rage against the machine a little bit. You know, kind of that whole Gen X, I got a problem with authority. And then where I was going in it from a little bit more of a crusty kind of way, you went super sophisticated and did some really awesome work. And now you're all over the place getting syndicated. I like to think I was your beautiful muse.
Well, you all not only were my beautiful muse, but you helped name the show. I don't know if you remember that too.
I don't remember that, but thanks for giving me. Thank you.
Well, I know you have a good memory, but it's short. But I remember that, and I just want to give you a quick shout out too about how important you are to me and the radio show and in the Native community. So let's talk a little bit more about. We were getting into the canoe digging and what that has to do with. And I know us as Ho-Chunk, Haley, and I, we're ready to dig our own here in the cities and race you. Oh, wow.
Well, here's the thing I'll tell you. First of all, hats off to Ho-Chunk Nation, Bill Quackenbush, and the work that they did last year with bringing that dugout on the river. We're also kind of leaning on the work that Matt Pendleton and the Lower Sioux community did. We have a partnership with the Owámniyomni, Okhódayapi, and Minneapolis Park Board. So if you want to harvest trees for the dugouts, Minneapolis Park Board says that they will help us harvest those trees. Usually they're trees. So for instance, the species and the size, if they're going to be taking a tree down, a lot of times the park boards for the St. Paul, Minneapolis, those just get chipped out into wood chips. And we have the opportunity then to make those dugouts.
Wow.
Some of the things that have come up as possible things, basically reclaiming the riverways. Those are our highways. And so there's been talks about doing some unity paddles, some competitions. I know up at Amakaska, they have the events where they bring the canoes out. But at some point, the old timers used to say we didn't need to go to Walmart to get everything. The earth provided everything we needed. And so wouldn't it be nice to see some dugouts and birch bark canoes in our waterways and actually not being used as a piece to look at, but something that we use?
Well, that's a great idea. And Haley, you have a big garage, so I think the next canoe that we Ho-Chunk make, we're going to make it in your garage.
Oh, I don't know. It's pretty full now with Dad's new race car. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe
What kind of race car does Dad have?
Oh, he got himself his dream Dodge Charger Scat Pack, all fancy.
Wow, I endorse that purchase 100%.
I'll tell him.
Well, he listens to the show every day, doesn't he?
Oh, of course.
Right on, right on. So tell us some more, Barry. We got a couple more minutes last segment here, and by seeing where you're driving right now, I can tell you're passing up my house. So give me a big wave off the freeway there.
Well, I'm over here right now by Hopkins Crossroad.
Oh,
so I'm on the other end. I'm still heading out to get that sap, man. I'm like Mr. Incredible right now. I'm getting stretched in all kinds of different places, trying to be everywhere at once. But we're doing at Owámniyomni, Okhódayapi, what we are really trying to do. Our main mission is to restore that site, 5 acres, and then we'll be restoring 3 acres with the park board. So altogether, it'll be a total of 8 acres where you're going to be seeing some tall grass prairie right in downtown Minneapolis.
Wow.
If you ever want to know what that might look like on the river in kind of a cityscape, a couple places you can look is Mississippi North Regional Park off of 49th. And of course, Bruce Venno, Okhódayapi. That area is where you have some good prairie restoration. The problem with Okhódayapi is you got Warner Road in between the river and the site. Ours will be connected right to the river. So we do want to kind of bring back our plant relatives and, support those other the flyers and whatnot and the fish, and bring back a little bit of that tall grass prairie because it's going to benefit the land. And right now, we've got to do kind of work overtime a little bit because whenever you're in these industrial areas, you're looking at a lot of pollution from many years of being abused. So hopefully by next year, this time, we've already had our round 1 of planning for our prairie. The thing about a tall grass prairie is it takes about 5 to 6 years to establish. And so even though we'll have that planning done, it's going to take a while. Real quick, we are hoping that the 4 Dakota communities, we're going to take donations from their prairie restoration, create these mother gardens. So that's another exciting thing where we have these spots where the prairie kind of grows out from those mother gardens, coming from places like Prairie Island, Shakopee, Lower Sioux, and Upper Sioux.
Wow, that's exciting. So to talk about the prairie grass, what else is in there? Is it pretty much just the prairie grass, or there's flowers in there? Is there
dozens and dozens of different plants? It was one of the most diverse biomes we had in the state. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. It's the most endangered biome in the state is tall grass prairie and the bluff prairies. And so when we say grasses, that's any number of blue stem, whether it's side oats, grama. You're going to have your echinaceas. You're going to have your wild bergamot. There's so many, cardinal flower. So a lot of times when you think about like in the cities on the boulevards, it's really popular to have a pollinator garden. Basically, a tall grass prairie is a pollinator garden. Even the grasses have flowers. They're just really small. And so if you can imagine those pollinator gardens, but bigger, that's what we're shooting for. Dozens and dozens of species, a lot of biodiversity within a small area.
I remember years ago you telling me that a flower or a plant that comes out of the ground, if it's a square and not rounded, if it's square, a lot of times that's medicine. That's a way to find out that it's medicine.
A lot of so that's the mint family. A lot of your mints will have a square stem. It'll feel like a square. So you could have peppermint, spearmint, bergamot, catnip's a mint. So if it has a square stem, it's in the mint family, and almost all of those mint family of plants are medicinal.
That's
traditional medicine here in North America and throughout the northern hemispheres of the world. So.
See, Barry, I do listen to you.
I'm really proud of you. and I should have said handsome instead of beautiful, but I'll when I was your muse for the radio station.
Right.
And I'm so glad that Miss Cherry's keeping you in line, because it sounds like, you're like me. You can go off the rails pretty easy. So you're lucky to have her on staff.
No doubt. And it's celebrating 2 years with her very soon. And also, she just had a birthday a couple days ago. So it's just amazing to have Haley with us. Barry, we only got less than a minute left. Can you give us a Facebook or a website, how people can keep in touch with you or what's going on with your organization?
So Owámniyomni Okhódayapi, you can find us at Owámniyomni.org. So OWAMNIOKHODAYAP.org. I know that's a mouthful. If you get the Owámniyomni, you're going to see the restaurant or us. And if we're not serving food, that's probably us. And our president, Shelley Buck. And let me tell you, she's a spitfire of a leader, getting a lot of stuff done, working with the Army Corps, which is a whole nother beast. But we would love to have as many visitors as we can. We do interpretive site tours of the Falls area of Owámniyomni, and we'd love to have you guys at Native Roots Radio or anyone else to come down and check out the site.
We do. Hey, love you, Barry. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you very soon. This is Native Roots Radio. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.